Right now, Sean Diddy Combs' legal team is making its case that he should get out of jail, and they're offering a $50 million bail package. Joining me now is Kristen Gibbons Feden, a former prosecutor and civil rights attorney and MSNBC legal analyst. And MSNBC legal correspondent Lisa Rubin is here in studio with me. So, Lisa, what are the arguments each side is making?
I think Sean Combs' lawyers are returning to some of the same arguments that they've made before in prior applications for bond, that he is not a danger, that keeping him in the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, which is a notorious facility rife with civil rights violations, is itself problematic for him, given his public profile, and that there are other ways to secure him and ensure that the public and that the community is safe other than keeping him in MDC, which is including keeping him in a home detention 24 hours a day, limiting his contact with the outside world, etc. The prosecutors say there is nothing here that would guarantee that the public is safe other than keeping Sean Combs in detention pre-trial. And the reason they say that is because Sean Combs, from his jail cell at the Metropolitan Detention Center, according to prosecutors, is continuing to obstruct justice. They say that, for example, he has used other inmates' phone accounts to contact witnesses, to orchestrate a social media campaign designed to taint the jury pool, that he is, in fact, even paying people off with respect to what they are willing to say about him from his jail cell and orchestrating it all, even behind bars. They say if there was a risk of his obstruction before the prior bail hearings, that doubt about whether or not he would continue to obstruct is now non-existent, Chris.
Okay, I want to ask you about that last part, Kristen, in a second, but can we just talk about the bail package itself? $50 million. Forbes says his net worth is around $400 million. How does a judge come to a decision about, like, what's an amount of money? I guess is it supposed to be painful to the person that would discourage them, right, from skipping bail? And if the judge would believe that he was a flight risk, then there is no amount of money, I presume.
That's absolutely right. What the judge has to do whenever they're evaluating any proposed bail package is they have to understand that there are constitutional rights. So the judge has to make sure that he is or she is giving that defendant the presumption of innocence. But they also have to balance it against, as you said, the seriousness of those allegations, but then also the likelihood that this individual won't come back. Not only does he have that high net worth, but again, the seriousness of these allegations. And as Lisa pointed out, one of the reasons that the prior judges decided to deny him bail in its entirety, saying there's no amount that we would accept to allow him free or released pending trial, is because of the seriousness of the allegations and his likelihood by which to intimidate any witnesses that could be called in order to allow the prosecution to put on their case. So that's what the judge balanced. And as Lisa said, those elements are still there. And in fact, there's that additional element considering he's been engaging allegedly in unauthorized communications with third parties.
So the fact, I mean, obviously there's not a trial on whether or not he's done that or not, but that definitely is something the judge will consider.
Absolutely. The presumption of innocence, he has to. But in terms of the third-party communications, yes, because intimidation of potential witnesses at trial is serious. It's a serious way to taint the government's case. And so in order for the government to be able to put on a case, witnesses cannot be tainted or intimidated. And in fact, that would probably be part of his bail condition, not to communicate with any of the victims or potential witnesses in this case.
A common question, Kristen, in situations like this is, what does it mean to be a very famous defendant? We've seen, of course, many high-profile sex abuse cases in the entertainment industry. Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, your case against Bill Cosby, among those that come to mind. Is there anything about those cases that is instructive as we watch this, or, frankly, that might influence either side in terms of how to approach this trial?
It's interesting you ask that, Chris, because you're right. There are many different, there's very similar pattern or trends that you see. It's the same common argument. Can a celebrity, can a high-profile individual receive a fair trial? And particularly in this case, and we saw in some of the other cases as well with R. Kelly, Harvey Weinstein, can these individuals really exercise their Sixth Amendment right, allow themselves to communicate with counsel if in fact they are incarcerated during the pendency of their trial. So those are the common themes. But in terms of the right to a fair trial, what jury doesn't know what's going on here? And that is also the common trend. But again, what boils down to the ultimate issue is whether or not he or she can receive a fair trial. And high-profile individuals in the past have gotten a fair trial, and certainly they will be able to find a jury who will be fair and impartial and be able to give Diddy Combs a fair trial. And so I think that those elements are always there. They're always raised, but they're always